Frank, right at the end of the game, Adrian Wojnarowski tweeted that the Lakers are going to be firing you, a decision they'll let you know tomorrow. Have you communicated with the front office at all about your future? And I guess what's your reaction to hearing that?
It has been a very, very long season for the Los Angeles Lakers, and finally they were able to pull off a win against a pretty important team for Western Conference seeding, but unfortunately it's a little too late because they're officially out of the play-in. But regardless, they were able to win 146-141 against the Denver Nuggets. But even before that, we got breaking news in regards to Frank Vogel's job security, and things are going to get a little bit awkward from here. You'll see what I mean in just a sec. Before we get to the content, I want to remind you guys that I have a Discord community in the description down below. It's the perfect way to come in and just suggest videos or to talk trash about my videos, because I check that Discord community fairly consistently. And now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. I'm not a big fan of traditional banks. They charge $35 for overdraft fees. They charge you fees for having a checking and savings account, and they don't give you cash back on debit card purchases. On top of that, most banks don't really care if you make or lose money, which is why I partnered with Albert. Albert is free to sign up for and easy to use. Instead of just opening a traditional savings account and hoping you put money into it, Albert looks at your income and expenses to see what money you can save. The best part is they give 5 to 20% cash back on retailers like Walmart, Starbucks, and McDonald's. Probably the most important feature of Albert is Genius. Albert has a team of financial experts called Geniuses that will look at your situation and help you make a plan if you get stuck. And for a limited time, when you click my link in the description down below, open up an account and submit a qualifying direct deposit, you'll get $150 just like that. That's an easy $150 to make, and thank you, Albert, for today's sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, it's been a complete shit show for the Los Angeles Lakers so far. And to give you an idea, there was a report that came out earlier today via Bleacher Report that said that a Lakers player once responded to a text at halftime in front of Frank Vogel. Now, for those of you guys that didn't know, basketball players aren't supposed to check their phones during the entire span of a game. And especially if you're going to do it, it's kind of like if you have your phone out in class. You know, it's very discouraged to take out your phone and text in the middle of class. It's kind of the same thing in basketball. And there's this report that came out that said a Lakers player once responded to a text at halftime in front of Frank Vogel. This is according to Steve Bulpett of Heavy.com. And the crazy part is this player apparently would do this all the time, saying, "I couldn't believe it." And later when we met up, he said that he wasn't the only motherfucker texting other people. The employee said about the player, he said it was nothing against Vogel. The players liked Frank Vogel and thought he knew what he was doing. They saw him as a good guy and a good basketball guy, but Frank had been marginalized too much. And to be honest, I do kind of agree with this. If you listen to the way Frank Vogel has been talking about his job this year, it's very obvious that the pressure has finally started to get to him. He even told Bill Oram of The Athletic that it's not easy to shut it out. It's not fun to have those reports hanging over your head or seeing it everywhere you look, especially so early in the season and after what we've been able to accomplish here. But to me, the pressure of expectation has been here since the day I signed on. I'll be honest, I don't think Frank Vogel is the perfect coach by any means, but at the same time, I feel like an intelligent individual would be able to look at Frank Vogel and say, this is a guy that really didn't have much to work with this year. Yes, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and LeBron James have only been around to play with one another for about 20 games, but in those 20 games, they weren't really that successful to begin with. This Los Angeles Lakers team was fundamentally flawed in my opinion, and I feel like if a head coach was your head coach when you won a championship, then he at least deserves a little bit of rope. I'll go on record to say this over and over again. I don't think there's a single individual or a single head coach that can make the trio of Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook work with a stable of veteran minimum contracts backing them up. But it appears as though the Los Angeles Lakers actually think differently, because look, this is where it gets really awkward, by the way, because according to Adrian Wojnarowski, Frank Vogel has coached his final game for the Los Angeles Lakers. This is a decision that's expected to be shared with him as soon as Monday, sources tell ESPN. The Lakers' search is expected to be lengthy and expansive with no clear initial frontrunner. Vogel led the Lakers to a 2020 NBA championship and assuredly will be a candidate once again in the league's future head coaching cycles. Now, here's the funny part about this. There's actually multiple funny things about this report. The first thing is Frank Vogel came out and straight up said that he hasn't been told shit.
The Lakers are going to be firing you. A decision they'll let you know tomorrow. Have you communicated with the front office at all about your future? And I guess what's your reaction to hearing that?
And I'm going to enjoy tonight's game, celebrate what these young guys did in terms of scratching the claw and getting back in this game, getting a W. And, we'll deal with tomorrow.
That get back to you before you walked in this room?
Yes.
Did that affect?
I'm going to enjoy tonight's game and what our guys did tonight and the way we finished out this season. I'm proud of our guys tonight.
Any more questions for Coach? Thanks.
Now here's the part that is actually very comical to me. There's a rumor that came out earlier today that an executive expects LA to ask about the Toronto Raptors head coach, Nick Nurse, to replace head coach Frank Vogel, which to me is hysterical because the Los Angeles Lakers are at a point where I wouldn't want to touch this job with a 12-foot pole if I was a head coach. And I'm a Laker fan, I'm just being honest. But coaching LeBron James seems to be one of the most difficult things you could do in the NBA. But like on top of coaching LeBron James, you have to also coach Russell Westbrook, and those two individuals don't seem to be the most easygoing individuals when it comes to talking basketball strategy, at least based off of what I've seen, and LeBron's past with various head coaches throughout his career. Bear in mind, this is a man that wanted his head coach in Miami, which by the way was probably the most stable and consistent head coach he's had throughout his entire career, to be fired within days of getting to Miami. And if it wasn't for Pat Riley putting his foot down, then we might be discussing a different story right now. I just don't like the way that Frank Vogel is being scapegoated here. Yeah, he didn't have the greatest rotations. Yes, his coaching was a little bit off at times, but he made lemonade with lemons, and this was by far the worst situation that he could have inherited, and he handled it as a professional and with class. And to be honest, I think him getting fired from the Los Angeles Lakers would be a blessing in disguise. I mean, who wants to go under consistent scrutiny while coaching a team of superstars that clearly can't gel together? I mean, even when Anthony Davis was playing this year, he had career lows across the board. Same with Russell Westbrook. The only person that looked relatively good for the Los Angeles Lakers this year was LeBron James. And come on, man, that was a man on a mission trying to break Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record, so I don't really blame him. Ultimately, I don't think this is respectful by the Los Angeles Lakers to put this out there. I don't know which source gave Adrian Wojnarowski this type of information. I'm assuming it's Clutch Sports, but I don't know who Frank Vogel's replacement is going to be. We'll have that for you guys the moment that we get an update. Let me know what you guys think about the firing in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.